Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Raphael Funge, and I'm going to start off with a quote that says, "Every secret of a writer's soul, every experience of his life, every quality of his mind is written largely in his works." And I think this statement is true because anything you read, the author takes their own personal experience, whether it's something that happened in their life or something that happened in another person's life, and puts into their work. And while this is mostly true for books, it can also be true for comics, like Marvel comics. A lot of the Marvel superheroes were made by Stan Lee, which is why I want to talk about him for my tribute speech. And I'm going to talk about why Stan Lee is a very influential figure and has been the face of Marvel for a long time. So, Stan Lee was born in New York, and even back then, he was a fan of novels, including ones by Mark Twain and Shakespeare, which he would later incorporate into his work. He was also a fan of newspaper comics, although at the time he didn't plan on writing any comics. And this is all from an article from the KSU Library database from 2003 by Raphael Jordan. And Um, Stan Lee ended up getting his first job at 17 at Timely Publications. It was during this time that he worked on a comic book superheroes for the first time, and he helped create the superhero Captain America. Um, Even though sales went down, this never stopped him from continuing his work because he had passions for creating different characters. In fact, he wanted to create characters that were relatable and had lives that really reflected those of the reader, which is why he created the Fantastic Four. During this time, people call this time the Marvel Age of Comics because during this time he created other superheroes like Spider-Man and the Hulk for the next 6 years. And for the first time ever, Marvel Comics became even more popular than DC Comics because DC Comics were always known for having superheroes that were known for having no flaws and are perfect, but Stan Lee wanted to have ones that were flawed and could relate to the reader in some way. So during this time, he didn't even make a lot of money, but that never stopped him from doing his work. In fact, he was humble as well because he was a fan of Walt Disney, but in a quote by Stan Lee, "I probably created a lot more characters, but he created an empire. I'm not an empire creator." And all this comes from an article from the KSU Library database by Andy Lewis from July 29th, 2019. So, unfortunately, um, Stan Lee was also known for being a civil rights activist, especially during the 1960s. During the year when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, Stan Lee made a statement on one of his platforms called Stan's Soapbox, which says, "Racism and bigotry are among the deadliest social ills plaguing the world today." And it was during 1966 that he also created the character Black Panther, who a lot of you probably know today, because since he has a movie. Um, but this was the first time he wanted to make an African American. He wanted to make a okay, sorry. He wanted to make a famous black character in his comics to uh, give the stories more diversity, which is another reason why I believe that the comics, even though a lot of people say comics are for kids, they can also relate to adults as well. As you can see from how popular the superheroes are today, with many adults watching the movies and reading the comics, or even a lot of TV shows that are out there. And this all comes from uh, an article by the Gale Literature Resource Center by Calvin Reed from December 3rd, 2018. So unfortunately, Stan Lee died in November of 2018, and he, um, because of this, a lot of people believe that Marvel lost the face of its success because Stan Lee was known for being really involved with his fans, speaking to them and You can see his cameos in a lot of Marvel movies too, which shows that part of what made the success was his personality as well. Him being down to earth, not always being humble, and wanting to reach out to his fans. So, in conclusion, Stan Lee was a man who I believe is an influential figure just from the stuff he writes because he put a lot of himself into his work and always showed what he believes. And I hope a lot of you learn to. I hope a lot of you remember that the next time you see him in any of the movies. Thank you.